I think it's getting near Portugal time, Teen.
Wow. Hey, Norm, you look amazing in your Berio hat. Ooh.
The, the best liqueur ever when you're in Portugal.
Oh, it's
Anyway,
absolutely delicious, isn't it?
from the comments that we're getting, it seems like this coming winter is going to be popular for people going to Portugal.
As we are going to be doing too, aren't we?
We are indeed.
Yes, we're going to be back there.
So we figured that we should talk a bit about spending the winter in Portugal. But before we do that,
We are Tina and Norm, and if you are new to our channel, we talk all things retirement, travel, and lifestyle.
and Portugal.
And if you would like to subscribe to our channel, we would really appreciate that, and you could give us the thumbs up, and that really helps our channel grow.
So these are the top tips of what we found out traveling to Portugal for the winter time. And if you haven't been there before, it's a great place to go. Don't be frightened of it. And you should be able to pick up a few tips. You might have to stop and start the video a little bit, but we're going to go fast. And firstly, we go from January to March, which is off season. And because it's off season, certainly North American flights, like our local Canadian airlines, are not flying into Faro, which is the major airport in the Algarve.
Yes.
So we fly TAP, which is Air Portugal, and they will sell us a ticket from Toronto to Faro. But the plane lands in Lisbon, you get off, you wait 4 hours in the airport, and you get on the Faro flight, and it's a 45-minute flight down there. If you don't want to do that,
Yes,
what do you think, Teen?
there's some great options. You can either rent a car. If you rent a car, it's about a 2.5 hour drive. And if you go on the toll motorway, it will cost you around 25 euros.
And the toll motorways are virtually deserted
Yeah,
because
very
the
quiet.
locals don't like
Yeah.
to pay the tolls.
So they don't like going.
And it's a well-paved road. We've driven it, and
Yes.
absolutely no problems about driving.
And of course, there's a couple of other options, Norm. We haven't done them, but lots of people do them. You can either take the train or the bus. The one thing you do need to consider is, for example, if you're going to Albufeira, the train station at the other end is not actually in Albufeira. It is
No.
a taxi ride, about maybe 10 or 12 minutes from
Yeah,
the station.
You,
So just
you wouldn't
remember
want to
that.
be walking it.
So easily you could take the train or bus. So there are many options. Yeah.
And the train you could pay anywhere around 15 euros. And the bus, very similarly, if you booked it in advance, you could probably get it cheaper. The train's 3.5 hours to get there from Lisbon. The bus is 2.5 hours. So those are your options to get
Down to the Algarve.
down to the Algarve. Now, January to February is off season. The Algarve is height of its season during the summertime. It's a wonderful hot beach type area. So bearing in mind, you're going to have a bit of rain. The temperatures aren't going to be blistering. It's going to be very nice springtime weather, possibly getting up to 20, 21 degrees on some of the days.
Yeah, that's generally when we're there, between about anywhere between January and March. I would say between 16 to 20 during the day, and it goes cooler at night, so you will need a jacket or a sweater.
Yeah.
It does go cooler at night.
And
But, sorry, I was going to say the reason we like it is because there's a lot less people.
it is, and it is off season, so it's not crowded at all. So that means that you can get accommodation.
Yes.
And with it being off season, it's going to be a little bit cheaper. So we generally budget between 1,000 to 2,000 Canadian dollars for a month in the Algarve. Some people have been fortunate and got it for less.
Yeah.
We've generally stayed in Albufeira, which is the geographical center of the Algarve. If you move a little out to some of the smaller towns, you might be getting it from 800 to $1,200.
Yeah, maybe. And there are different accommodations you can get. You can get anything from a hotel room to a studio, and then there's 1 or 2 bedroom apartments. Generally, the 1 and 2 bedroom apartments will have full cooking facilities with a kitchen, so you get a stove and fridge and everything. Generally, that's what we do. We rent a 1 bedroom apartment with a kitchen, don't we?
Right, but the vast majority of the hotels that are catering to the summer visitors, the hotel rooms have a kitchen or a kitchenette in them.
Yeah, that's
So
very true.
you can get anything from a studio to a 1, 2, or 3 bedroom in a lot of the hotels. So part of your research should be with Expedia, Travelzoo, Hotels.com, and search for accommodation. They will list all these.
Yeah. And one thing we've learned too is that once you find a place that you're interested, go on to the hotel or the company direct, because often you'll get one lot of pricing through, as Norm said, Expedia and or booking.com. Then if you go direct, they will often have particularly winter specials. They'll have monthly rates.
Yeah.
And we've found dealing direct with them, we've had some really good experiences, haven't we?
Nice thing with the local hotel websites, especially some of the chains that are down there, Portuguese chains, there's a little flag that you can click on and it will translate the website into English from Portuguese.
We find that very helpful, don't we?
How safe is the Algarve, Teen?
It's just wonderful. We feel very safe there. And mind you, we're not really out in the middle of the night, are we?
No.
But generally walking around, we've never had any issues from safety. And actually, Portugal is listed, I think, in one of the top 3 places of being very secure and safe. So I wouldn't worry about that.
And eating in Portugal is just a delight because Portugal is not Spain. And if you haven't been there before, it has a distinctively different culture to Spain or Italy. And their cuisine is just wonderful. They have unusual things, nothing weird. It's all extremely tasty. But there's something that looks like a big grilled cheese sandwich that's drenched in cheese.
And often they'll have sort of meat or stuff in the middle too.
Francestina or something like that.
We will put the correct name up for it, but
and then there's
delicious.
The bacalhau, which is the fish pie, which is a national dish.
Yeah.
You got to try, obviously, the pastel de nata,
which are one of our favorites. You know, we can have that any time of day with a coffee over there. We just love those, don't we?
Supermarkets, a lot of them, the larger ones, have a cafeteria where you can go sit in. The Pingo Doce in Albufeira has a fantastically huge place. It has their own pizza oven, so you have pizza made to order, which you can take out. We've done that. Yeah,
we've had the pizza there. It's wonderful. And we've also had the dish of the day, like from the buffet, haven't we? Where
and they'll grill you a steak, or they'll grill fish for you on a grill in there. So don't be afraid to try the food. It's just absolutely wonderful. You'll love it.
And I think one of the things, especially in Pingo Doce, is that you can get little carafes of wine with your dinner. And it's really nice and very reasonable, isn't it?
€1.
It's great.
And don't be afraid to try the dish of the days in the restaurants. You see them advertised. They're nearly always in English or...
They're usually very good value, aren't they? I'm going to say something between about 6 and 15 euros maybe. And some of the meals are really big. So you could just order one and share it between the two of you if you don't eat a lot.
We've done that quite a bit.
But
because we're cheap.
No, because we don't want to eat too much, Norm.
Now getting around, there are rental car agencies at Faro Airport. Most small towns have a rental car agency, so you can either decide you want to rent one for the whole of your stay for 1 or 2 months, or just rent one for a couple of days to go on maybe a day trip.
And the other thing too, Norm, is if you want to do an excursion to go somewhere, they have, we're going to call them like mini travel agents. They are shops, and that's all they do is excursions on buses. They'll go to Gibraltar, they'll go to Seville, I think, they go
Yep.
to Lisbon, you name it, and they're all across the different towns across the Algarve. They'll do day trips too, and everything's included. And actually, some of them are very reasonable.
So they'll take you
And
to the major
yeah,
places of interest. It's obviously a bus tour, it lasts for a day. But if you're not renting a car and you want to go and see somewhere, there's one of the tallest mountains just near
oh yeah,
the
yeah.
in the Algarve, Montjuic.
Great way to see different places, isn't
Yeah,
it? In fact, we haven't done the Gibraltar trip. We keep saying we should do it, and I think probably we'll do it this time.
but we have driven to Seville,
We
and
have.
that
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 was
that should have been
wonderful.
two and a
Yeah.
half hours. It turned out to be about 3.5 because we got
Yeah,
lost.
we got lost trying to find the hotel. But we went for the weekend, didn't we? We had
Yeah.
2 nights there, and we had an amazing stay there. And it's very drivable, isn't it?
It really
Yeah.
is, and we
Yeah.
didn't take the highway because we didn't
No,
want to pay the toll road. So we took the N125, and
it was great.
we went through all the little towns
Yeah.
on the way, which was very interesting.
And we managed to find a hotel right near the cathedral, didn't we, in Seville? It was wonderful. We would recommend going there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, if you're not a resident or a citizen of the European Union, then the tourist visa is 90 days.
Yes.
There are ways to get it extended, but that has been extremely difficult during COVID
Yeah.
because either the office that you have to go to with the border guards have been closed,
And you can't
or
get an appointment,
or
can you?
the waiting lists are huge. So just figure on 90 days if you're not
Yeah.
an EU citizen.
Yeah. And also, you really do need your return flight. That's one thing they are concerned about, is that you have a ticket to come back. So if you're taking the gamble of trying to stay longer,
Yeah.
that's why we prefer to just stick with the 90 days, don't we?
That's right, because you might go to and apply for the visa extension and they might say no, and you've booked the flight for,
2 months later, and
Yeah.
then you've got to leave in a hurry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Euros are the currency. We take euros with us, just enough to get us going for the first few days.
Yeah.
We have the Canadian banking system, so we have an Interact card that we call it, or a cash point card,
Yeah.
to go to the hole in the wall. So that's what we do.
Yeah.
We put it in there. We cash out euros directly. We don't go to the money changing places.
No.
We get a better rate. The bank machine may well say to you, do you want us to do the currency conversion, or do you want your home bank to do it? Always choose the home bank. Back
Better
in
rate.
Canada, you
Yeah.
get a better rate.
We sort of go fairly often, don't we? So we don't have to draw as much money.
Well, they do have a rule in Portugal
They
that
do. There is a limit on how much you're allowed.
200 euros
per day.
to stop people being forcibly taken to
Yeah.
a bank machine and forced to clear their bank accounts. So just limit yourself to a couple of €100 a day that if you do need it.
We found that works really well, though, haven't we?
We have.
Another little tip too. If, for example, the place that you're staying in, if you're concerned there is no washing machine, there are plenty of laundrettes around. So on our last stay, there wasn't a washing machine, but we just
No.
went to the local shopping centre.
But we
Yeah.
travel with carry-on and we don't take a lot of clothes and we wash them every week or so.
And the other thing too is often we just take small travel sizes of like shampoos and things like that, because we've found that will keep your weight down. So you can just go to the grocery store and buy a big shampoo and sun
Yeah.
cream when you get there.
And
we
they're
found
not that
works.
expensive
No,
either.
we found that works really well too.
We have.
Yeah.
If you want to try any of the towns on the Algarve, they're all great. There isn't
Yes.
a bad one.
No. And in fact, this year we're probably going to look for a different one, aren't we? Because we've been to
Yeah.
Albufeira for 3 times now.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're maybe going to look at one of the other places to stay. But we've been for the winter stays there, and we would highly recommend it. It's a really nice place to go,
It is.
isn't it?
So that's Portugal in a thumbnail.
And we hope that you've enjoyed it and that everybody is staying safe.
And keeping well.
Until the next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.